Zoos have come a long way since 1874, when the first public zoological park in Philadelphia debuted in the country. During their nascent days, zoos were a place where animals lived in captivity and are put on display for people to view. The perception has long changed. Nowadays, zoos across the country are a safe haven for endangered species.
When you're choosing species to the zoo, it's no longer what is the most popular. It's really focused on what species need the most work. And when I say that, it means what species really need the work from a conservation standpoint. Species that are threatened, species that are endangered, that really need to be at zoos as a part of captive breeding programs to help these species from going extinct.
Buttonwood Park Zoo's Animal Hospital assures the well-being and population of these species. So in case you're wondering, why is it important to assure the survival of species apart from yours?
And you do get that question a lot. What do I care? Why would I need to change my habits? Well, everything's an ecosystem. Everything is connected. So you can say, oh, well, I don't need red panda. Well, that impacts so many things. Not only the other animals in its environment, the plants in its environment, seed dispersal. There's a lot of things. The entire plant here is interconnected. And when you start losing these major species in these ecosystems, it has far-reaching impact. We can see in our own backyard. Best example I can give you. We have all kinds of problems with Lyme disease on the South Coast. Well, that's because our deer populations is so high. Why is our deer population so high? The natural predators, the cougars, the wolves, they don't exist anymore. The only thing that's out there is the coyote. Well, the coyote doesn't eat the mice that spread the ticks to the deer. There's a whole ecosystem. So how does it affect me? Well, you worried about Lyme disease? Well, that's one of the reasons, is because species have gone extinct, even in our backyard.
Do we always draw such a straight line?
It's never a straight line, and one of the difficult things from a biological standpoint and from an evolutionary standpoint is oftentimes the impact are not immediately known. It doesn't happen overnight. There are some species that go extinct and it's immediately felt in the ecosystem. Many of them have long-term implications.
My first visit to Buttonwood Park Zoo in New Bedford cemented that thought. The Buttonwood Park Zoo is one of the oldest urban and suburban zoos in the country. It first opened its doors in 1894 and are currently celebrating 125 years of conservation commitment to more than 50 endangered and threatened species. Walking around the zoo, it is hard to believe its age, all thanks to the cosmetic surgery back in 1996.
Yeah, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the zoo closed for a complete remodel. There was, it was showing its age back then. So the entire zoo was done over, and that's about 20 years ago now. So yes, it was definitely a bright and shiny new zoo and an old footprint. And right now we're actually working on a master plan. It's been about 20 years since the zoo reopened, and we're working on updating everything at this point as well.
A component of the master plan was the expansion of Emily and Ruth habitat, the two oldest residents in the zoo, in addition to opening Forest, Rivers, and Reef Reservation in 2017.
One great thing about the Rainforest Rivers and Reefs building is that we created mixed habitats, particularly on the Amazon side of the building. And what that basically means is that we don't have a singular species in one exhibit. We have a variety of different species living together, and that can be everything from small monkeys to tropical birds like parrots. We have lizard species, and we even have tons of fish species down below. Now, from an animal perspective, there's a lot of stimulation going on. There's all kinds of different animals. They need to learn how to cohabitate with all these different animals, and it creates not only a rewarding environment for the animals, it also creates a rewarding experience for the visitors that are coming to the zoo.
So part of our master plan is to redesign our barn area into the Nature Connection Education Center. So the barn itself is being retrofitted into 4 new classroom spaces, as well as a brand new animal ambassador facility where we'll be able to have our animal ambassadors get up close and personal with our visitors on a more regular basis than they are now.
Working with Nature Explorer, Charlie's Nature Play and Outdoor Nature Playground opened last July. The zoo also runs classes and public programs to help people best understand nature and the world around them.
So this is called Science on a Sphere. This is a tool that was developed by NOAA to be a way to visualize kind of global data. So what we're looking at right now is an actual satellite image taken from space of Earth. And what we're able to do with this is really do lessons. We do a ton of school programming and some public programming on things like weather, space, and really anything in between. So we have, let's see, right now we're looking at over 660 different data sets that we can put up on the sphere. Everything from the age of the seafloor, which is what is up there now, to, let's pick some other fun things that we can see. Bird migration patterns. So truly we can do a lot of really neat things with the sphere. So right here you can see they've put two data sets on top of each other. One is air temperature and the other one is bird populations. So you can see how bird populations may or may not move with the change in temperatures and seasons.
Now, for those who would say to you, wild animals do not belong in the zoo, what do you say?
I agree. I get this question all the time. Why? I need to qualify that, don't I? I get this question all the time. I'm a zoo director. I've been working in zoos for about 30 years now, and I wish there wasn't a need for zoos. I really wish that we could all just enjoy animals out in the wild, but that's not reality. Reality is species are becoming threatened, endangered, and going extinct at record levels. There are species that are at the Buttonwood Park Zoo and other zoos around the country that barely exist in the wild or are extinct in the wild. And the only chance for these species ever to survive or to ever be reintroduced back into the wild is the captive breeding programs of accredited zoos. So in a perfect world, you wouldn't need to have zoos. We have such lush wildlife interacting with humans. That's not the world we live in. The world we live in is that wildlife's under constant threat, and zoos are at the forefront of saving these species, from captive breeding programs for reintroduction and also for conservation in the field as well.
So whether you're in for the exotic experience and look at the beautiful pandas to the majestic elephants, or you're interested in seeing the faces of your occasional neighbors, Buttonwood Park Zoo may just be the answer.